Hello and welcome back to another Ask Me Anything session with BCMG. This is session number 3. My name is Jenny and I'm the Learning Coordinator for Birmingham Contemporary Music Group. These Ask Me Anything sessions are useful for those children and young people working towards completing their Arts Award Explore. In today's video, I'll be interviewing our very own Concerts and Tours Manager, Sarah Woolhouse. I hope you enjoy. I wonder if you could just take a bit of time to introduce yourself for us.
Yeah, so I'm Sarah. I'm the Concerts and Tours Project Manager for Birmingham Contemporary Music Group. And I've been with Birmingham Contemporary Music Group since January this year, working on organising everything they do that you guys see as a concert.
Fantastic. Do you mind me asking, where are you currently?
I'm currently in our office. I am the only person here, as everybody else is still working from home, but we are in the CBSO Centre as we are starting our rehearsals for Sternklang, which is our project that's happening in Germany later in August. So we have a nice quiet building otherwise, but all the activity is happening in our rehearsals in the hall.
Brilliant. What is your job at Birmingham Contemporary Music Group?
So I am the Concerts and Tours Project Manager, which is quite a long title for basically what means organising concerts. So everything from start to finish, in that process I help look after and help organise, which could be anything from booking a musician, working out or hiring the music what we're going to use, or booking a venue for the concert to happen in, and timetabling everything, booking hotels for people to stay in, trains for people to get to places on, and anything and everything else in between.
Brilliant. That was a really lovely description. So obviously that's sort of almost a lead up to a concert. What sort of things happen maybe in the rehearsal before a concert, and then what are you doing as part of the concert itself?
So for rehearsals, my job is to be the first person here to make sure that the rehearsal space is set up for the musicians. So when they arrive, they have their music stands and their music ready for them, and that the space is ready so they can walk in and get on with what it is they do best. During that time, there will be some breaks in rehearsals, so chatting to musicians in the breaks, making sure everyone's got a cup of tea, cup of coffee, all the important things, some biscuits maybe. And then for the concerts themselves, it's the same thing again. Obviously, it might be in a different venue to where we've rehearsed, so arranging for any instruments or special equipment to make its way from where we're rehearsing to the concert venue. Talking to whoever is running the concert hall to make sure they understand what we're doing for a concert, and making sure that everything runs smoothly once the musicians get there again, and then wrapping everything up and packing it away at the end of the day.
Am I fair to say that you were probably the last person to leave? First one there, last one to leave?
Yes.
Fair enough. Really important job then, isn't it?
It's great because you get to see every aspect of a whole project, from the very beginning through to the very end. And some people will only see certain parts of that, so the audience will obviously only see the final performance. The conductor will only be there for the rehearsals and the performance with the musicians, but I get to be there right from the very beginning, from the start of the project all the way through to the end.
Awesome. Right, so you kind of already answered this question in your introduction, but I will ask it again for purposes of being thorough. How long have you been working in your job with BCMG?
So about 7 months. I joined just at the start of January, and we are now in August, so yeah, just over 7 months.
Brilliant. What was your career route sort of to working for BCMG? So what was the route, and how did you get to your position now with us?
So I studied music at university, and then when I left university, I knew I wanted to work in music, but I wasn't still quite sure how or where. I knew I wasn't going to be a performer or a composer, but I knew that I still wanted to work in the arts in some way. So I did some volunteering and some internships with different organisations to work out what I was good at and what I enjoyed. And the answer is doing everything and anything behind the scenes, which didn't really narrow things down. but means that I have had lots of fun and lots of different experiences getting to this point. So I also work freelance, and I have put on lots of different projects for different organisations. I work also with the National Youth Orchestra in helping them as a stage manager, and I also work in concert halls and theatres as a venue manager. So I see help with the organisation of events, whether it's concerts, theatre, ballet, opera, whatever you can have in a venue, in whatever capacity, I'm happy to help.
Goodness me, that's incredible. I imagine that you've probably done quite a lot of travelling as part of your area of expertise in your career. Are there any highlights for you, just thinking about that, where you've been to previously?
Definitely. So last summer, we with the National Youth Orchestra, we went to Berlin and did a concert in Berlin, which was wonderful. Every year they usually go to the proms, so it's the same project that we take into the proms that we took out to Berlin, and that's so exciting, taking that many young people abroad for such an exciting experience.
I can imagine. Brilliant. Right, so you've also told us what you do in your job at BCMG, and you've given us a really thorough sort of explanation of that, which is fantastic. Perhaps you could tell me a little bit about maybe the things you enjoy most about your job with us at BCMG.
I think the things the moments I find most enjoyable are when all of the planning, because a lot of what I do is planning, and working through all of the details and putting together the jigsaw puzzle of everything that goes into a concert or a project. The bits I find most enjoyable is when it starts coming to life. So you can sit behind a computer or on the phone and work out all of the details and booking things and preparing things. But as soon as you've got musicians or conductors walking into the building, walking into a rehearsal venue, and all of that planning becomes music, that's the part that's really, really enjoyable. And then obviously, once we've rehearsed, sharing that with as many people as possible.
Yeah, fantastic. Would you mind telling us maybe, what do you find as being some of the most challenging things that you have to tackle as part of your job for BCMG?
I think what can be really challenging about what BCMG does is that it's all new. So as contemporary music, there's not necessarily a plan or an example of how it's been done before, which on one hand makes it more challenging. It can be quite a difficult jigsaw to unpick and put together how the composer would like that work to be performed or to be staged, and communicating that with everybody involved. But the flip side of that is that no one's done it before, so it's also the most exciting part, is that process of working out how to do that is part of what makes it enjoyable.
Brilliant. I suppose that is the thing, isn't it? I wouldn't use the term winging it, but there is something about you're forging away, aren't you? No one has done it before, so you are sort of almost like musical pioneers, I think, personally.
Yeah, I think it also makes it a much more collaborative process, so that there isn't just a standard plan. There isn't always a set way of doing things, and that can make it more interesting for me. It can make it more interesting for the musicians, for the composer, for the conductor, and also for the audience of seeing how that comes together.
Absolutely. This following question is obviously a bit tricky at the minute because we've been, experiencing such bizarre times recently. But I was wondering if you could maybe tell us, so far in the time that you've been working with BCMG, what has been your biggest achievement?
Yes. So one of the funny things about the fact that I've been with BCMG since January is that we haven't yet done a concert with me working here. Which makes it a slightly difficult question, but there's a really easy answer. So today I'm in our offices. We're back in the CBSO Centre because we started rehearsing for Sternklang, which is a performance we will be doing in Germany later in August. So the most significant moment for me so far definitely has been having that first rehearsal, of getting everybody back in the building and performing music again and rehearsing music again here, and just getting back to what we want to do.
Absolutely, and considering it will be the first performance you've been involved with, what a massive performance, what a huge way to sort of kick everything off. Really exciting. Okay, this question also sort of links into this. tell us a highlight whilst working with BCMG, if you have any at this point in time.
I mean, it has to be the same thing, if I'm honest. It was like the whole process with my job is the planning and the preparation and working out how to do things best, and that's been even more tricky at the moment. So being able to definitely, with all the uncertainty at the moment, definitely have musicians in the building and hearing a rehearsal start for the first time has got to be the highlight. I'm sure once we get to Germany and we start doing it there, that will be the highlight too. But for now, yes, getting everybody here and getting started has been great.
Brilliant. I can imagine it will just be a case of like it'll level up each time as the project progresses. Brilliant. This is something I would find really interesting to hear from you. Why do you enjoy working for BCMG?
So I think people often underestimate how much enjoyment you can have from being part of something, even being behind the scenes. So while what an audience sees is the performers on stage, and you can always tell and see how much they're enjoying what they do and how they do it, being part of the team that gets to that point is really enjoyable. And I think this is as much, certainly for me, is as enjoyable as it can be just as satisfying being part of a project in that way. That's a bit of a faffy answer.
No, it totally makes sense. I suppose for me personally, what I've found, because I'm also a performer outside of working at BCMG, it's a very different, it's still a hugely rewarding experience for me when we have workshop days and things, you know, follow through all the preparation and make sure everything's ready to go. And then at the end, you get to sort of observe it, not as a spectator, because you're still very much practically involved. But you have more opportunity to actually sort of stand back and sort of see what you've achieved and what you've accomplished together. Whereas I think when you're performing, you've got a very different mindset during the time of the performance. So actually it's a hugely wonderful thing to be able to sort of have that opportunity to see the accomplishment as a whole. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does. I think as well, as a performer, you're on stage and you see the audience's reaction. As somebody helping facilitate everything, I interact with both the audience, the performers themselves, people in the venue putting on a performance, and anyone along that route, and can therefore engage with and appreciate their involvement and their enjoyment of what we're doing and why we're doing it.
Fantastic. So this is our final question. What advice would you give to somebody looking to work for an arts organisation?
I think it would be just to talk to people. I think everybody who works in the arts, whether they are the performers on stage, the composers, the conductors, the people running a venue, the people in the office putting things together in advance, works in the arts because they care about what they're doing. And therefore we want to talk about it, we want to share it, we want to explain what we do with as many people as possible, because certainly if you're not sure about what you want to do in the arts and all you see is the performers, which is fantastic, you might not know about everything else that goes on behind the scenes and what you might be good at or what you might enjoy, and we want to share that with as many people as possible in as many ways.
Sarah, thank you so much for taking the time to come and chat to me. I really appreciate it. Some really, really exciting responses, and I think there's lots that people will get from this. I wish you the best of luck with the rest of the Sternklang rehearsals and your exciting trip and first performance in Germany.
Thank you.